So real quick, tell me a little bit about your experience in the marketing field.
Well, I've had significant experience both in interpersonal promotion and in mass media. For example, when I worked at Randolph-Macon Academy, I designed and was ultimately the star of the commercials that were played throughout the Western Virginia area. But at the same time, when I moved to George Mason, one of my primary responsibilities as an administrator for the Department of Communication was to put on a good face for the department as a whole. So anytime we would have major fairs or conferences or even the lobbying campaign at the state legislature, they would send me. And you wear your best suit and you smile and you answer whatever questions come your way to make sure that people understand the department's mission and are confident in its future.
Can you tell me about a time when you had to overcome a major obstacle and failed? And how did you handle that failure?
One of the major responsibilities I had as an administrator several years ago was to organize student records for over 1,000 communication majors. And one of the initial objectives that I had was to digitize these records. Now, we were successful in effectively managing all of the paper records, but despite my lobbying efforts and my petitioning to some of the senior administrators to digitize them, they ultimately did not go along with the idea, even though I still maintain that would be helpful. So one thing I learned from this is that sometimes we have to focus on the fundamentals. Don't be fancy when individuals don't feel a system is broken.
How about a time when you had to overcome a major obstacle and succeeded?
Well, outside of my professional life, it was very important to be able to raise money to get into college. So I was able to work at George Mason University. And so something that entailed was making sure not just I had financial aid, but was able to get the scholarships and grants that that I needed in order to work at the university. Otherwise, there's no way I could work here in a service capacity.
As a professional in this industry, what has been your proudest moment?
Several years ago, the Chinese ambassador to the United States traveled to George Mason University, and I was asked by the Department of Communications to give a speech addressing challenges between China and the United States. So it wasn't so much me representing the Department of Communication. Obviously, the admin wanted to show the breadth of knowledge that George Mason students had, but in some ways it was me representing the university, the state of Virginia, as he was touring the state at the time, and then also my country in a changing global environment that mandated not just strong bilateral relations with China, but between Americans and Chinese officials that were able to bridge historic divides and cultural differences.
Was there ever a time when you made a decision in haste and later regretted that decision?
I don't want to sound pompous, but I'm very careful about planning my actions out in advance. Perhaps, if anything, it's the exact opposite. There are too many decisions that I perhaps overthink, but it's very unlikely that I would make a decision hastily, as I like to do my homework and plan things out very carefully. So maybe sometimes that'd be helpful if I lightened up a bit and was willing to be a bit more spontaneous professionally.
What made you decide to take this profession from a job to a career?
It's absolutely imperative to dedicate yourself to organizations, but also to effectively represent that organization. Information is power. And as we move into the 21st century, it's absolutely essential that people are able to understand information about organizations. So there's absolutely no way for any corporation, government agency to effectively thrive if they don't have people that are willing to convey the mission and challenges and objectives of an organization to the constituencies that the organization is seeking to serve.
Where do you think the most significant improvement could be made in your company?
Well, I think we have to effectively establish the direction that we're moving professionally. It's absolutely essential that we have a very clear mission. I think we have a lot of good ideas, but truly being able to synthesize those ideas and prioritize could definitely use some improvement, but we're moving in the right direction. What we need to do is take this large cluster of good ideas that we have, really focus it into something that's very streamlined, so you end up with a crystallized vision and a crystallized set of objectives.
What do you like best about your current job position?
My job allows me to have a tremendous amount of flexibility and a tremendous amount of opportunity. I think we're working on projects that are truly beneficial to the industry that the company is working in and to the free market as a whole, because our company provides services that cannot be provided by anyone else as effectively.
If we were to hire you, what would be on your agenda for the first day of work?
Well, like I said before, we need to really effectively prioritize. And so one of the critical aspects of the agenda that I'd be bringing forth is, as I was saying, the detailed elements of my professional background that I've demonstrated, as well as the ability to effectively represent us, really have to be brought to the forefront. So we need people who are detailed oriented and truly willing to go the extra mile, and so working in any capacity that would be necessary is essential.
Finally, what sets you apart from other candidates for this position?
Loyalty. I'm truly dedicated to this corporation, truly dedicated to the field, and so I'm not an individual who's merely looking for resume padding or another flash in the pan quick opportunity. I'm someone who's willing to go the distance on good days, on bad days, and to ensure that the company and any subsequent projects are successful.
Okay, thank you very much.